Retail sales for July printed minus 0.6%. The estimate was plus 0.1%, and June was plus 0.2%. That is a 7/10 miss on the single most important read on the American consumer. 3 things this video resolves. Why stocks barely flinched, where the largest disclosed money actually went, and which small cap lost half its value in a session. The S&P 500 closed at 7,786.01, down 0.17%. The Nasdaq Composite finished at 26,729.16, down 0.28%. The Dow settled at 53,732.41, off 0.20%. And here is the tell. The VIX fell 2.6% to 14.25. Volatility got cheaper on the day the consumer data broke. Energy led the sectors at plus 0.74%. Basic materials, plus 0.53. Consumer defensive barely green at plus 0.06. Communication services lagged at minus 0.54. Consumer cyclical, minus 0.32. CNN's Fear and Greed Index sits at 65. Greed. $78,329,000. That is what Cascade Investment, Bill Gates' holding vehicle and a 10% owner, spent on Republic Services stock dated August 13th. 362,960 shares across 7 separate transactions. Read the structure, not one block, 7 prints. That is accumulation, not a headline trade. And read what it is not. It is not artificial intelligence. It is not semiconductors. It is not anything on the Reddit leaderboard. It is contracted, inflation-linked waste hauling cash flow. On a day the consumer disappointed, and greed still reads 65, the biggest disclosed insider buy on the tape was a vote for demand that does not depend on sentiment. 51. That is where Michigan consumer sentiment landed for August, against a 54.5 estimate and 55.2 previously, a 4.2-point drop. Pair it with retail sales excluding autos at minus 0.3% versus plus 0.2 expected, and business inventories flat at 0%. Then look at the one number that went the wrong way. Michigan one-year inflation expectations ticked up to 4.3% from 4.2%. Weakening spending with sticky expectations is the uncomfortable combination. It removes the easy story that soft data automatically equals easier policy. Defensive and energy leadership on the day was the market quietly acknowledging that. Minus 49.3%. Blaize Holdings closed at 59 cents after Johnson Fistel flagged what it called a 68% revenue guidance cut, with Rosen and Robbins both circling the disclosures. That is the concrete why. Guidance, not sentiment. InVenture fell 55.1% to $1.62 after its second quarter call. KinderCare dropped 46.2%, and Microvision lost 40.7%. Meanwhile, Capricorn rose 58% to $6.65, even with 3 separate class action deadline notices crossing the wire. Translation: small cap dispersion is enormous, and headline direction is not price direction. On the disclosure side, Intel chief executive Lip Bhutan bought $9,999,985 of Intel stock on August 11th, 105,263 shares, a single transaction. Selling, Medpace's August Troendel at $7,111,000, and Nina's James Steiner at $3,143,000. In Congress, Shri Thanedar disclosed an Apple sale of $100,000 to $250,000 transacted January 9th, reported August 14th, a 7-month lag. Chuck Fleischmann sold the iShares 10 to 20-year Treasury fund and bought intermediate treasuries the same day, July 28th. That is duration shortening, not a bond bet. Earnings surprises were extreme in both directions. Motorsport Games posted 19 cents against a 2-cent estimate, an 850% beat. Q Health lost $13.81 per share against a $1.69 estimate, a 717% miss, even with revenue of $7.9 million versus $3 million expected. Next week brings the Korean large caps on August 18th and 19th, including a name estimated near 36.6 trillion won in revenue. Watch two things. First, whether inflation expectations at 4.3% get confirmed by upcoming price data. That is the constraint on rate cut hopes. Second, the VIX at 14.25 against fear and greed at 65. Cheap hedges into weakening consumer data is the setup that punishes complacency. Today's theme, the consumer cracked and patient money bought garbage cash flow. Subscribe for daily data-first recaps.